And welcome back. In this video we are drawing Abigail and Swamp Thing from DC with gouache. Enjoy! So this is actually the first time I'm creating a full serious illustration with gouache. I dabbled in it a couple of times, just some landscape practices on cheap canvases, but I never really did a full-blown illustration of characters. I tried it though last year or earlier this year, I can't remember, and it didn't go well. So I was super anxious doing this, especially because it's for my YouTube channel. But like I said in my last video, I just want to steer away from perfection, just create, have some fun, and find my artistic voice. Also, this is the very first time I recorded my traditional process. A lot of first times here on this channel. I had some technical difficulties. I thought I would have a lot of issues with the drawing part, but that actually went pretty well. Well, the watercolor paper did warp as soon as I put water on it, which sucked, but yeah, it was sure easier with a digital recording. I apologize for the different lighting situations in this video. I only have one window and I did this over several days at different times of the day. And currently we have some very beautiful, very sunny, mild autumn days, and my room is on the south side and it tends to get too bright or too dark, and I try to correct everything in editing, but I only could do so much with my knowledge so far. I do have a ring light. I remember that halfway through filming, and it kind of softened the harsh shadows a little bit, but yeah, I hope it's okay and it isn't too distracting. I also discovered that the best lighting or quality was when I used the light box to trace my sketch that I made in Clip Studio beforehand. I wish I knew that, so I would have used it throughout the whole video. I was just too nervous to sketch traditionally and on camera. I really need to warm up to the idea, and yeah, you will get a full process in future videos, I promise. Another thing is, my camera is not really a filming camera. It's a Canon and it only films for like 30 minutes at a time. Mine only does it for 12 minutes at a time. I tried to find something where I might change that, but for the life of me I couldn't find it. That was pretty annoying because it kind of ruined my flow. I mean, recording in general made me super anxious, but that was just unnecessary. It also records in HD, but with this camera and lens, I think it's almost a decade old. I bought it for a class in uni, and it doesn't deliver the content in HD, which I'm really sorry about. I hope it's not too bad, but we're on a budget on this channel at the moment, and we move on and keep doing what we love though. I haven't done a traditional painting in years. I feel much more comfortable with digital drawing, because if you make a mistake there, you can just easily erase it or delete the layer or draw over it. But yeah, I do love traditional art, but I always struggled with it. I used to only draw with colored pencils. Yeah, I was a colored pencils kind of gal. I never used anything else because I didn't have anything else. I discovered markers at a certain point, but I never really got to really understand them and find the full potential of them. But I was always curious to actually finish a drawing with them. That is planned for this channel. I dabbled in watercolor a couple of times though, especially when I was accepted for uni. I just played around with it and yeah, it was awful. My mother still has one of them framed in her bedroom. It's really, really bad. I tried to draw a city in the background with a big grass hill in the front, and it's just... there's no composition and there's even less color theory in there than in this one. I am actually super happy with this painting. I think I not ruined it, but I kind of overdid it at the end with the leaves and twigs. You'll see what I mean. I just wanted to have a nice autumn-like picture with the proper colors, and I just tend to use too many colors, I guess. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, but this is something I actually want to stop doing because it ruins my drawings in the last few steps most of the time. which is why when I discovered digital drawing nearly a decade ago, I made the switch. Usually when I'm almost finished with a drawing, or I know, or my brain knows that we are heading towards the end, I tend to get very impatient. Like I really want to take my time and finish it properly, especially with this one. I was so happy with how it turned out. I was nearly devastated when I overdid the foreground, and just when I was done and I saw all the damage I did to it, it's just that little voice that keeps on saying, finish it, faster. And I get so anxious, and I thought I ruined it, and that is usually the point where I throw my drawing away and be super depressed. I used to throw a lot of my drawings and older drawings away, which you shouldn't do, because you need them to see years later that you indeed improved, and I was always getting so embarrassed and feel ashamed of not doing a proper or good enough job because drawing is all that I could do. But when I started this channel and this drawing, I went in with a different mindset this time. This time I went in with, I am in control, I can fix things if I mess up. Not if I make a mistake, I'm a failure and need to throw everything out. And it did work to an extent. I still am a little upset about my little mishap in the end, but I think it's a nice, colorful frame for these two monsters. It helps when you have Bob Ross in mind. So yeah, even though this drawing is nowhere near perfect, I'm super happy with it. I mean, I actually did a successful job of doing a full gouache illustration with characters. There's a huge win for me, and this sounds cheesy, but I took it as a little sign that it was the right decision to start my YouTube channel. Also, I almost never draw more than one character or creature in one illustration or scene. I think it's pretty difficult to draw everything and everyone in proportion to each other, but I just went with my guts on this one, and I mean, you can't really figure out much with Swampy because he's just all grass, flowers, and twigs, which is why I love drawing him, which is why I love drawing monsters and creatures and spooky stuff in general, because it just doesn't have to make sense most of the time. They also technically can't touch each other, because, you know, she's the avatar of the rot and he's nature's protector, but that's what I also want to not completely get away from. But in uni, they always hammered that into us, that everything has to make sense, and that is true, especially if you are working for the gaming industry or movies, advertisement, and so on. And I agree that good knowledge of anatomy, perspective, color theory, values is crucial for improvement and good design. But it kind of took a lot away from my creativity in the sense of character design or storytelling. Like I always had to make sure everything made sense and would add up, which, like I said, I do agree with, but it kind of took the joy of just creating, you know? The stories and characters always seemed bland and I wasn't having too much fun. But I guess I just have to find a good balance between them. But sometimes I just want to draw stuff that I just like, that makes me happy, that I don't really care if it makes sense at all. I mean, art doesn't always have to make sense, right? I'm so happy with how the face turned out, because that is normally the part where everything falls apart. But I watched some videos and artists and just observed how they tackle the shading, and it really helped in making my decisions where to put color and where to leave it alone. Yeah, but unfortunately with this angle, most of the shot my head was in the way, which is really annoying because I really wanted to show you the whole process of the face, because that is one of the most important parts to me of a painting, because the face usually conveys the most emotion, even though I still have to work on my facial expressions. She's hopefully clearly sad, and I am not really sure if you can see her tears in the final drawing, but yeah, I just felt like drawing something more sad, but with bright, happy colors. I know you should choose more mute colors for a sad, emotional piece, but I felt like bright colors, just a little contrast. You can be sad even though it's a nice day outside. So with this drawing, I tried different angles so it wouldn't be too boring to watch. Unfortunately, my space is limited. I have a very cheap tripod that you can't really do much with, and I had to sit in very uncomfortable positions to get some angles and close-up shots. I hope to get a better camera in the future with better lighting, and want to get an overhead tripod so you can have a better view and not have to sit through weird angles. Or I don't have to sit through weird angles. The hair is also a part that I like, even though it's not as I would hope it would turn out. I tried to, well, because of the golden autumn background, I tried to consider that in the coloring part of the characters. Abby is blue, obviously, and with the yellow background and lighting, I wanted to put more of a greenish blue or hue in her skin or armor. I think she already has a more green bluish skin, but in every drawing I see of her, she has different tones of blue. She has white hair, and I tried to warm it up with adding some yellow to the white paint. In the end, I don't think you can see too much of it. I also think that I could have added more blue and green colors to the shading and to the hair to match her surroundings, but I don't know. I feel sometimes you don't always have to make everything perfectly realistic, and I like the contrast of her white hair with the rest of the drawing. I think in the end it's all just personal preference. I really like her armor or skin. She looks very demon dragon-like, and I think that's one of the reasons I like her so much and often draw her in Swampy. I don't know, I first discovered her, I'm not sure when. I just went through a lot of Marvel and DC characters because I was always interested in them, and I liked the spooky parts more, even though I feel they get ignored a little bit. But yeah, I just got to read a little bit more about Swamp Thing because, you know, he protects nature and he looks spooky, and that is a bomb combination in my opinion. Then I discovered Abby, and I know there is a movie from the 80s, I guess. I haven't seen it yet, and I know of the live action show they made a couple of years ago. Didn't watch that either. Wanted to though, but they canceled it after one season, which I think sucked. Yeah, I don't want to watch or waste my time with shows that got cancelled. Yeah, that's just my opinion. When I was done with her body, I realized that her face was way too light for the rest of her. But I was so scared that I would mess it up that I just tried to lighten the body later on. And I initially wanted to darken the face a little with colored pencils in the end. But again, I was very anxious that I would screw it up, and I was so happy with the end result of her face that I just thought it would be better if I leave it alone. With Abby almost finished, on to Swampy. I was also a bit nervous coloring his face, even though I wasn't as anxious as I was with Abby, because he's more flexible with his features, and he's just a big clump of grass and leaves. I think I said that in the last video, but I really need to up my nature drawing skills. You'll see when I show the finished painting. I love drawing leaves and flowers and such, but I do not have the patience for it, and not a good enough developed skill. That is what I want to work on, having more patience, especially towards the end, like I already mentioned, and up my game with the flora and fauna. With him, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just went for it. I think in the end I could have refined his leaves and twigs a little bit more, but again, I had to finish it in time, and I also didn't want to overdo it. But I did improve. I have some drawings from 2017 and 2020, I guess. I have to check the date. And I'm very happy that I got better at drawing him with each attempt. I will make a comparison post on my Instagram just to show you, and you can tell me if you think I've improved. I think it was a good decision to leave it a little more open and not overdo it with the details. I mean, enough gets lost when I add the branch leaf frame, unfortunately, but that's what happened, and we roll with it and move on. I need to tell myself that in order to progress. I just am a sucker for branch, leaf, flower frames. I love it, and if I could, I would use it in every drawing, but I want to have some variety, and otherwise it would get boring too fast, right? Actually, the whole time I did Swamp Thing's head, the top of it, I really didn't know what to do, really. So I guess that's why it looks the way it looks. I Really went in with no expectations and no clear image in mind. I think I should have used more references, but I'm happy anyway. Maybe in a couple of years I will look back at this drawing and know that I have improved even further. Also, with this first real traditional drawing, since I can't remember, I really hope that in a year or two I will look back and think to myself, yeah, I did good, but now I can do even better. This illustration really fired me up to get better at gouache and watercolor paintings, just try out new techniques and just do more traditional art again. I'm really excited. Also, I didn't have any washi tape. I never owned washi tape. I just have some regular duct tape, and I really hoped that it wouldn't ruin the paper. It did a little, but it's not so bad because the edges are actually pretty clean. The paper on itself wasn't good as well. I was pretty excited to use my new watercolor sketchbook, but it just started to warp really bad as soon as I poured water onto it, which kind of sucked. Yeah, we'll have to use a lot thicker paper in the future. I do still have some really good but expensive paper from when I was in uni, but I kind of want to save that for other occasions. It really has a nice texture and the colors really pop. It doesn't warp. So yeah, I think someday I'm gonna buy some more. We're heading towards the end of the video. I don't really have much more to say right now, except that I hope you like this video, even though the quality isn't the best. I really do hope I can get better equipment for future videos, but for now, this will have to do. I also tried to make it more dynamic with some shots from my supplies and workstation to make it more, well, not cinematic, it's far from it, but more approachable and not too stiff. Let me know if I achieved that. Feedback is greatly appreciated. If you watched till now, I'm really proud and happy that you stayed with me and watched this gouache illustration unfold. Let me know what you think. Do you like the branch shrubbery frame, or do you think I made a mistake adding it? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a nice day or night. Stay spooky, stay whimsical. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!